But well, this is
Okay.
exciting, you guys. You're so interested in teaching little kids K through 12 ESL. Yes.
Yes, it
Yay.
is. It is a very, it's a driving certificate right now. School districts are really wanting the ESL certification, also bilingual, but ESL, we're seeing, growth in that. At our undergraduate level, our numbers are rising for EC36 ESL. And then of course the master's program, which is TESOL C, that's also growing. So we're really excited to see that. You guys are in the forefront now of what's trending in Texas, so that's good. And school districts are, they're drooling for ESL teachers. So, job opportunities are flowing out of fountains right now. So that's good that you've just chosen to go this route. So let me go ahead. Let me share my screen. See if it will let me do that. And I'm gonna pop up this PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So can everybody see the PowerPoint? I just wanna make sure. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, so this is, I'm Kimberly Perez. I am the Teacher Certification Officer for UTSA. I am also the TESOL C advisor for the certification side. So you guys will have Eric Udegas, who is the SDS, and Dr. Christensen and other faculty members who will be your advisor for your degree portion. And then I'm the one that will help you make sure that you're meeting the components necessary for the certification side. Okay, we do offer in the TESOL program, we have EC through 6, and we also offer 4th through 8th grade. So if EC through 6 is not something you're interested in, more of the middle school kids, we do offer a 4th through 8th grade track as well. It's pretty much the same degree. The only difference is that we make sure that your placement, when you do your field observations and of course clinical teaching, will be placed in that 4th through 8th grade realm so that you can get the experience needed for those areas. Okay. So again, this is just information on that degree. It's kind of funky because you're getting a degree and certification at the same time, but they're also not connected. So they're connected, but they're not connected. So it's kind of an umbrella or a ladder effect. So what you have is your EC through 6 degree, your master's degree, and that's a 30 semester hour non-thesis field-based master's degree. And so when you're doing the program, you can take those classes that you need for the degree, but then there's an added component of what you need to do to get certified. And so that's regulated by TEA and not by the university. So that's where I come in to make sure that what you're taking for your degree also aligns with what you need for the certification and those extra things that you need in order to get that certificate. Okay. So admission requirements. Obviously, you guys are all admitted UTSA. So you've met that first step by being admitted to the university so that you can register for those classes and take them. And so that's actually item number 2, full and clear admission. And what happens is when you are ready to apply to teacher certification portion, I will work with Eric and he will send me the documents to show that you have a full and clear admission. So you just sign off on that on your application because I'll work with Eric to get that. You do need to hold a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution. You don't need to attach copies. I'm able to get those now from Eric and also verify some things with him. If for whatever reason the transcript is too hard to read, I might ask you for a new copy because TEA does audit us and we need to have those documents in there. But majority, I would say 99.9% of the time, I'm able to get those transcripts from Eric or from at the graduate school. But what I'm looking for on those transcripts is that it has a cumulative GPA and that it shows your date of degree awarded on there, okay? Does anybody have a degree from another country? Everybody here's from the US? Okay, good. So what we're looking for is a GPA of a 3.0 cumulative or a 3.0 in your last 60 hours, okay? And I will calculate that if you don't have that. So normally what I do is I look at your transcripts, and if you have a 3.0 from your bachelor's, then I automatically accept that GPA. If for whatever reason your GPA is not at the 3.0 on your undergraduate, I will manually calculate your last 60 to ensure that you've got that 3.0, okay? And if for whatever reason you don't have that, then we'll discuss opportunities to get that GPA that's necessary. But majority, like I said, 99.9% of the time, you all have the required GPA component. You also need to take and pass your pre-admission content test. Your pre-admission content test is going to be your content area, which is EC through 6. And it's a little different from the past. In the past, we had a different test, and now they, starting January of 2020, of this year, they changed that test, and I'll explain more about that pre-admission content test in a little bit. Okay, let me see if it'll let me move. And we'll go over this too, but the test that you're going to be taking is called the Texas PACT, or PACT Texas Essential Skills number 700. Okay, and I'm going to actually, after we do this, I'm going to take you to the website so that you can see that test and look at how to study for it and all the good stuff. Okay. Along with those items, you also need to read and sign the criminal history policy. When you meet with me, I will actually give you a certification plan, and on that plan are active links to all these areas. So you should be able to just click on the link in the plan, and it'll take you directly to the criminal history policy. Criminal history policy basically just says that you understand that while you're in our program, if you are to be charged or arrested for a felony, we have the right to remove you from our program. Okay. You also need to pass the teacher candidate quiz with a 72 or higher. The candidate quiz is, I believe it's 25 questions, and it's basically just gauging your ethical disabilities. I'm sorry, ethical dispositions, not disabilities, I'm sorry, ethical dispositions. And what we're looking for is making sure that you are ethically correct and that you know what you need to do as a teacher. An example would be true or false. I can drink alcohol in front of a minor while I'm on campus. Okay, obviously that's false. So those are the kinds of questions that you're going to be looking at. If you read the Code of Ethics, which is also on that plan, if you take that, read that, then you can take the quiz and you should pass it with 100 or higher, 72 or higher on that test, on that quiz. We also need evidence of English language proficiency. So if you have a bachelor's degree from the United States, you meet that requirement. Okay, so then you're good to go. The only time that you would need to take the TOEFL is if your degree is not from the United States, but everybody here does have that, so you are good. You also need to complete the teacher candidate screening essay. TEA requires us to interview you and make sure that you are a qualifying candidate for the program. We have in our program probably close to 700 people. There's no way that we can interview 700 people on a regular basis. So what we've done is we've done an essay instead. And so it's, I call it an essay, but it's really like a Miss America type questions. There's about 6 of them. And they just ask you, why do you want to be a teacher? Do you work with students of bilingual or ESL background? How can you become a culturally efficacious teacher? Those kinds of questions. And a faculty member actually reads them and grades them. So this one will take the longest in terms of your admission requirements. So we highly recommend that once you've taken your PACT test, that you knock out this candidate screening as soon as possible, because it does take about 3 weeks for me to get the scores back from the faculty member. Everything else will literally take you 15 minutes, but this essay portion will take you the longest just because we're waiting for that results back. So if you knock that out as soon as you can, that's in your advantage, so that we can, as soon as you receive everything else, we can admit you to the program, okay? Completed application form. Eric is the one that holds those applications. So when you are ready to apply, you'll just email Eric Udegas and then he will send it to you. And on that application are these 3 items: the statement of agreement to complete field observations in clinical teaching, your memorandum of understanding, and that code of ethics. Okay, and so those are all located on that application. The field observations and clinical teaching agreement just says that you understand that you are required to do 30 hours of field work before you clinical teach. And then of course, clinical teaching is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And it is a non-paid semester. So those are, that information is in there for you, okay?
Kim, I have a question for
Yes.
the application.
Mm-hmm.
If you, who in the participants is already an admitted MA TESOL student?
I got the letter in the email.
Okay, because I think, Kim, maybe you want to say a little bit when they can apply for the TESOL C, because right now you have been admitted as a normal, regular TESOL student.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's actually the screen. When should you apply is within your first or second semester. Okay, so yes, so you definitely want to apply. Honestly, as soon as you get admitted to the university, you want to come see me and Eric, and we'll go over the plan with you. I'll create one for you so that you can see all the admission requirements, what's necessary and needed, and then we'll talk about, go take care of that PACT test. With COVID, it's kind of been hard this year for students to take the exams, but TEA or Pearson, which is the testing company, they are opening back up again, and they are offering the test quite often. And so they are limiting the seats, of course, because they don't want people to get sick, but they are offering it as often as they possibly can. So your ability to take the text PACT should be pretty good. You should be able to take it 2 or 3 times a week if possible, of the offerings, okay? And again, Eric will give you that application. Then what happens is once you've filled out the application, you're actually going to send it to me. And my email address is at the end of the presentation. So you'll actually email me everything. So your score report for your text PACT, your application itself, and then everything else, your criminal history policy, the quiz, all the good stuff, I actually have access to it. So I'll be able to pull those myself, okay? And then I'll process your application. If there's anything missing, I'll email you and tell you, hey, I noticed that you didn't do the criminal history policy. Please do that. Or if everything's good, you're going to get another letter from me. TEA requires that we acknowledge that you acknowledge that we acknowledge that you acknowledge the admission. Okay. So you got to sign that form, and then you'll send that back to me. And then once I've received that, you'll be officially admitted to the TESOL C, the certification side of the program. Okay.
Sorry, Kim.
Yes.
Will you explain now or later what happens if a student waits too long to apply?
Yes. So if you wait too long to apply, you're going to run up against this 30 hours of field observations. Okay. By state law, you must complete 30 hours of field observations before you can clinical teach, but you cannot do the 30 hours of field observations until you are officially admitted to the program. So what we want to make sure is that you have a cushion of at least 1 to 2 semesters before you plan to clinical teach, so you have enough time to do those 30 hours of observation. If you take all of your classes and all you have left is clinical teaching, but you didn't do your 30 hours, you will not be approved for clinical teaching. So then you'll be stuck here for an additional semester. Okay, so we want to make sure that's why we recommend within the 1st to 2nd semester, as soon as you're admitted to the university, so that you have enough time and a cushion, so that you've got that 30-hour field observations. Right now with COVID, school districts don't want us on campus. We're struggling this semester just to find placements for our students, and of course, hopefully COVID goes away. But if something else happens while you're in the program, you want to have that cushion just in case there's another pandemic or something else, and you're not allowed on the campuses. So that gives you that free wiggle room, if you will. Okay. Just be aware that you will be charged a $35 fee. This is absorbed by TEA. It is not, we don't take the money. We are charged every year by TEA. And this is the bill, and it's $35 per person. It's written into law. And this basically just helps maintain the TEA website and provide assistance to you, because once you are a certified teacher, TEA is your people. So this fee helps maintain all the services that they provide to you. Okay, it is non-refundable. So if for whatever reason you decide I don't want to be a teacher anymore, you won't receive that money back. Okay, so just be aware of that. And again, complete and document your 30 hours, and we'll talk more about that. And then you also need to complete the ATE online training modules. These also must be done before clinical teaching. And those are going to be related to bullying, mental health, classroom management, those kinds of things. And Eric can assist you with those to take care of those ATE modules, okay? Okay, so the 30 hours of field observation. The 30 hours of field observation are made by the co-ed coordinator of field placements. Her name is Yumna DeBook. And in order for Yumna to find your placements, she has to contact me, and I got to tell her, hey, by the way, Sarah is now admitted to TESOL C. She's now eligible for her field observations. And so she will then reach out to you, and then the two of you will work together to make sure that you're placed in a school. Sarah, since you work at Northside, we can try to place you in a Northside school. Hopefully your school that you're at, if possible. That way it's seamless for you and you're able to do your field work there, and then you can go right into Learning Tree afterwards. Okay, so that would be an example of what we could do for you, and we will work with you as much as we can to fulfill those options. Okay. So let's say, for example, right now today is September 23rd, and let's say you get admitted tomorrow. The semester's already started, so you're not going to do your 30 hours this semester. Instead, you'll do your 30 hours in spring of 2020, and the idea is then you would begin clinical teaching in the fall of 2021. So I'm sorry, spring of 2021, fall of 2020 is when you would clinical teach, okay? So then the goal is you want to try to get admitted in your current semester, if possible. And then that way, the next semester, you're able to do those 30 hours of FBE. And then hopefully after that, you'll be clinical teaching within 1 or 2 semesters. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Okay, FBEs are done during the day. Kids don't go to school at night. There's no such thing as elementary night school. So it will be during the day. And it's 30 hours. So we typically, if you're thinking about that, if you have a job where you need to work with them to see when you can go out to your school and do your observations, you're going to be looking at about 3 hours for 10 weeks, okay, give or take. So it's spread out through the semester. So you don't have to jam pack all 30 hours in 1 week, okay? You want to spread that out. We recommend, depending on where you're at, especially if you're already working in a school, of course, you'll coordinate with Dr. DeBook on how that's going to operate. If you're not working in a school, she will assist you in finding a placement. You will be working with a mentor teacher. And so then you'll coordinate those times that you want to go. Because obviously, you don't want to go during lunch. You don't want to go during PE. You don't want to go during nap time, right? Because then what's the point? What are you doing? You're just staring at kids. So we want to make sure that you're interacting with those students. And so you'll be working with that mentor teacher and UMNA to make sure that your hours are fulfilling and that you're actually interacting with children during your 30 hours of FBE. You can do more than 30 hours too. So if you're in your semester of FBE and you've completed your 30, and let's say you still want to continue on, we highly encourage you to do that. Continue on working with that school district during that semester. Those are great working opportunities, job opportunities, because if they remember you and a job opens up, then they're going to want to contact you and say, hey, we got this job, this position that's open. Are you interested? We'd like to hire you. Okay. So even though, while you're in those schools and you're interacting with those kids, you're also presenting yourself to that school district, that principal. Okay. So I tell students, it's like a job interview. You're in there and they're checking you out. And then if they really want you, they're going to ask for you back. Okay. Any questions on the 30 hours of field observations? Okay. Okay, now.
Clarification. This the 30 hours of observation, do not confuse with the practicum that we have for like the normal TESOL. A lot of people think they have to do both. And no, you don't have to do both. If you're TESOL C, you only do these 30 hours, you don't need to do the practicum. But like if you have the practicum, you cannot later say, oh, can I apply these 30 hours in here? You can't.
No. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're correct. Because we need to observe you in the classroom and it must be in a classroom setting. And so it can't be, night school or any other, like the reading programs that they might have. It's got to be an actual classroom because that's what TEA is looking for. Okay. So your state exams, you're going to have a total of 4 state exams. You're going to have your content area, which is EC through 6 core subjects. You're going to have your PPR, which is your pedagogy and professional responsibilities, your supplemental, which is going to be your ESL portion, and then the science of teaching reading. Science of teaching reading is a new test. It does not exist right now, but it will starting January 1 of 2021. So it is a brand new exam. This one is specifically on reading, of course. And so you'll notice in your core subjects 291 that there is a reading section. It's called the English Language Arts and Reading section. Most of the reading practices and standards have been pulled out and they put into the science of teaching reading. And actually what will happen is when you get certified, your certificate will say core subjects EC through 6 with science of teaching reading. So you're going to have a really long mouthful certificate and ESL. So you're going to have a really long certificate. But this is so that you get credit for that science of teaching reading because that is a new certification exam. UTSA will require that you take a practice and a review session for your content. And you must pass a 70 or better on the practice test. Once you've taken your practice and your review session, then you're going to fill out what's called a eligibility form. And Carissa Kahutek, which is our testing personnel, she will then give you permission to take the real exam. Okay. And when you meet with me, we'll go over this in more detail and I'll give you the websites and all that good stuff so that you'll have that. You only get 5 attempts on the core subjects. After your 5th attempt, you will have to appeal to the state of Texas, pay $180 and do over 150 hours of remediation before they'll let you take the test again for the 6th time. So we definitely don't want you doing that. That's a lot of money. And so that's why we have you guys do the practice and the review session. The nice thing is your text PACT which is what you're using at the beginning of the program, is a content mastery test. So it's already asking you questions related to your content. So it's going to have questions about reading, writing, and mathematics. And then this core subjects will have questions on there for science and social studies, and physical education, art, that kind of stuff. What we found is a lot of students who take the core subjects test, they struggle the most in math, in English, and that's why your text pact only covers those, because those are the areas that most students struggle with, okay? But you can also use your text pack as a diagnostic. One of the requirements that we have for our undergraduate students is they take a diagnostic, a practice, and a review. You'll already have your diagnostic done because you've done the text pack. So then all you focus on is the practice and the review sessions, okay? Same thing with your PPR. You must do a practice and a review session, must score 70 or better, and then you'll be eligible for the real exam. ESL supplemental, we do offer a practice test. We do not have a review session for that one, but we do offer a practice, and again, you must score 70 or better. For the STR, because that's brand new, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be offering. I know for sure there will be a practice test, but I don't know if Dr. Verzinga and Carissa will offer a review session. So as of right now, there isn't. But if there is one, definitely take that and do the review session because it'll help you. But again, the STR requires 70 or better on that test. We do stress you want to try to take care of all of these exams before clinical teaching if possible. But we do understand it's 4 exams. That's a lot, right? That's a lot of studying. That's a lot of stuff you got to do. So just be aware that you can take these and they're not connected to your degree. You will still graduate as planned. As long as you complete all your coursework on your master's degree and you complete clinical teaching, you're going to get your degree, okay? The only thing that you won't get is your teaching certificate until you meet all 4 of these items, okay? But they don't hinder you from anything. We just recommend it just because while you're in clinical teaching, they're going to see one that you are a master's student and not an undergrad. So your maturity level is higher than most of our undergrads are going to be. They're going to see that you're doing ESL, which is, you know, ring, ring, ring. That's what they want. And so they may offer you a job while you're clinical teaching. But if you have no exams completed, they cannot give you that position. So that's why we highly recommend that you knock them out as soon as possible. Okay. Any questions on the exams? Okay, now I'm gonna throw something at you. TEA, they love to change the rules every day, okay? Constantly changing the rules. We are regulated by the legislature, and every odd year is my crying year because we get new rules and regulations that come from TEA. And so here's a new one that's coming out. Not only is the STR coming, but starting in January of 2021, they're gonna offer a new test called the 391. The 391 will eventually replace the 291, and the 291 is your core subjects. And the reason being is they're tweaking it and they're going to pull pretty much all of the science of reading, teaching methods and stuff like that out of the 291, and so that's why they're calling it the 391. When the 391 goes into effect, you can choose to do the 391 instead of the 291 if you want to, okay? You don't have to do the 291 if the 391 is available. And the reason being is the 291 will expire. And when it does expire, if you have not gotten certified, you cannot use the 291 anymore, and you'll have to pay again for the 391. So we are recommending to students, if you can, do the 391 instead. It might be more helpful to you, especially if you're not clinical teaching until fall of 2021 or spring of 2022, okay? Then the 391 would be a better bet for you than the 291. And there is a proposed law right now to replace the PPR with what's called EdTPA. We are currently in the pilot year right now for EdTPA, and then in next year, because it's an odd year, the legislature will evaluate the results from the pilot and they will determine if the EdTPA will be required. EdTPA is a completely different test from the PPR. PPR is a multiple choice question test. EdTPA is a performance-based test. This one requires you to record yourself in the classroom while you're in clinical teaching. You have to provide artifacts. There's an essay portion. There's a bunch of stuff, a portfolio. There's a lot of stuff that's involved, and it's $300. The PPR is only $116. So there is a huge difference in price. And so we are pushing for everybody to do the PPR to get out as soon as possible. When TEA votes in September of 2021, either they'll make it effective immediately or they will give everybody time and they'll have an overlap year. And they'll say in 2023 or 2022, you have to get certified with your PPR before EdTPA kicks in, okay? And once we get more information, I will tell you about those things. So if you are affected by that, especially if you're clinical teaching in the fall of 2021 or spring of 2022, I will let you know once we find out from TEA what's going on with the EdTPA. But as of right now, we're keeping it business as usual, and we're recommending that you do that PPR instead. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay. Okay, so now we've done all of our coursework. We've been admitted to the program. We've done our 30 hours of FBE. What's next? The next thing is your clinical teaching class. And so clinical teaching will be ESL 6946, and it is your final semester. You as graduate students, since you take classes at night majority of the time, you can take up to 6 hours with clinical teaching. We don't recommend it though, because you're gonna be busy during the day teaching and grading papers, going to staff development, going to PDs, going to trainings, all kinds of stuff. And then you have to hurry up and come here to campus and take classes. So we don't recommend that. So we do recommend try to knock out all of your coursework and only have clinical teaching left. But if something happens and you're not able to, you can take 6. So if you have 2 classes left and clinical teaching, that should be your final semester. It should also be the semester that you're graduating, okay? You will be required to attend a clinical teaching meeting 1 semester before you plan to clinical teach. And technically, that should be the semester that you're doing your 30 hours of field-based experiences. That also lets me know who you are. I kind of low-key stalk you so that I know what's going on. And so I will be following you, making sure that you're meeting all the requirements. And then when we get closer and closer to clinical teaching, I will send you that information and say, hey, it looks like you're gonna be clinical teaching in the spring of 2022. Here's the information for that meeting. Please attend in the fall of 2021. Here's all the info. And you'll need to apply. You'll need to formally apply for clinical teaching. I'm the one that actually evaluates all the applications for clinical teaching. And then I will be the one that will register you for the course, okay? Then during clinical teaching, so let's say you're clinical teaching in the spring of 2022. In that January, you'll actually attend a meeting, and that is where you're gonna find out where you're being placed. So you'll meet your supervisor, you'll meet your cooperating teacher at the schools, and you'll actually begin on the first day of school at UTSA in your classrooms, and you'll begin teaching already for that semester. UTSA has to come out and observe you, so you'll be observed at least 3 times while you're at your schools. The principal will come out and observe you, academic dean, VPs, counselor maybe even. They'll come and check up on you, and your cooperating teacher and your mentor teacher or the supervisor from UTSA will then evaluate your performance, and that's how you'll get your grade at the end of the semester. Okay, and then what happens is you graduate, you pass all your state exams, and then that's when you'll apply to TEA for your teaching certificate. And I will also send you emails during the time that you're clinical teaching to tell you, okay, here's the instructions on how to apply for your certificate. So you'll also get that from me. Okay, I try really, really hard to make sure that you're up to date and that you know what's going on. But at the same time, please talk to me and let me know what's going on your side too, okay? A lot of times students, because I'm not your assigned advisor, they tend to forget about me. And then you guys, they pop up and they're like, hey, I'm ready to clinical teach. And I'm like, you're not even admitted to the program. What's going on? So make sure that you're talking with me, okay? Especially after you're admitted. That's when I will be paying more attention to you once you're admitted to the program, because it is my responsibility and my job to oversee and make sure that you're meeting all the components that you need to graduate and get certified in a timely fashion, okay? And again, this is just information about clinical teaching. It is a non-paid semester. It's a state requirement. It cannot be waived. It's a full-time commitment. Now we do offer what's called an internship. It's a year-long experience. And the way the internship operates is you actually get hired as a teacher at a school district, and you are the teacher of record for a year. In order to do the internship, you must pass all of your state exams. You should only be lacking your PPR. So your STR, your core subjects, and your ESL supplemental must be all passed. You should only be lacking PPR, and you should be working on that. You have to have a school district that is going to hire you, and there's paperwork that's involved in that. And instead of 1 semester clinical teaching, it'll spread out to a whole year. And we do recommend that you try to do clinical teaching from a fall to spring, because then there's no disconnect. When you do a spring to fall, obviously there's a summer there. So then you're working with two different sets of kids when you're doing a spring to fall internship. And you will be enrolled in a 3-hour credit class in that fall to spring timeframe or spring to fall. So if you are thinking about doing an internship, then you want to make sure that you get that paperwork taken care of a semester before you plan to clinical teach, because you've got to get letters of recommendation. You have to provide evidence of your test scores. We used to require that you had to have teaching experience, but we're waiving that so that you guys have the opportunity of getting a job. Okay, so there is that opportunity there, but there is a lot of work that's involved in that. And I'll be honest with you, about 95% of the people that do an internship do not get the internship, because something falls off the radar with the school district, or they find another candidate that they can hire. So if you want to do that, you got to be committed to it, and there's lots of paperwork that's involved in that. Okay, otherwise you'll do the regular 6-hour clinical teaching that we offer. Any questions on clinical teaching? Okay, and then again, this just tells you what I'm looking for when I process your paperwork for clinical teaching. I'm making sure you're admitted to the program, that you've got the majority of your coursework done, if possible, all of it. You want to complete those OTTE trainings, have the passing scores. And again, and the pink highlighted, those are the ones that I highly recommend that you get done before clinical teaching, if possible, which is that core subjects and at ESL. Okay. We also want to make sure that you maintain that 3.0 GPA in the program. Documented 30 hours. Normally what happens is in the back of the day, it was attached to a class. And so then the faculty member would send me your logs. Not the case anymore. Now that we're doing it this way, it's actually a freestanding thing by itself. And UMNA and you will work together to do your 30 hours. So you want to make sure that you keep a copy of your logs, and you should give a copy to UMNA, but you also want to keep a copy for me. And that way I have evidence of your 30 hours. Okay. And then of course approval by me and the TESOC coordinator for clinical teaching. We actually have one student who will be clinical teaching in the spring of 2021 who is doing the TESOC program, and she's good to go. She's got everything that she needs, and she's currently doing her 30 hours right now, and then she will begin her clinical teaching experience this coming spring term. Okay. Okay. So how do I study for the text PACT? Okay, so let me see if I can close this real quick. And let me see if I can find it. Okay, can everybody see this? It's from Pearson. Okay, good. So this is the testing site. This is it's tx.nesc.com, and this is the testing company, which is Pearson. And right here at the very top, you're going to see a link that says Prepare. When you click on Prepare, it's going to take you down here, and you're going to choose Text PACT, and you're going to be looking for the number 700, and that is going to be your essential academic skills. Okay, and if you click on that, that's going to send you here. And this is a breakdown. So what's really nice about this is it shows you the requirements for the program. I'm sorry, it shows you what's required for the test, which is the framework. And so it tells you that this test is 4 hours and 15 minutes. It is on a computer, but you are proctored. So you will have to choose a test site to take this exam. UTSA is a test site, so you can take it here. And there's like 5 other locations in San Antonio that you can take the test. And then it breaks it down further. It tells you that your subtest 1, which is reading, is 1 hour and 15 minutes. Subtest 2 is writing, 1 hour and 30, and then mathematics, which is 1 hour and 15. And it also lets you know that there's multiple choice for subtest 1, multiple choice for the mathematics, and then you do have a constructed response for the writing, along with multiple choice questions. And then here are your competencies. So your competencies in subtest 1, which is reading, you need to know these things. You need to know how the meaning of unfamiliar or uncommon words. You need to have an idea of the main idea of a paragraph or a passage. You need to recognize a writer's stated or implied purpose of writing, that kind of stuff. And then if you go here to the number 4, this actually gives you a sample test. What I like about the sample test is that it also gives you the answer, so that you can find out, okay, I took this, what does that mean? I think it's gonna be C. Hey, I got it right, I just guessed. Okay, so C is my answer, and it tells me why C is correct, okay? This is really nice because it then gives you an idea of, okay, if I chose D and the answer is C, why is it C? And then this tells you it's because of the number of Hispanic TV stations in the United States. Okay, so once you've read the paragraph, that'll give you an idea. Competency, page 5 shows you the subtest for writing. And then here is your math, or on page 7 is math. And so this gives you an idea of what that's going to look like. Okay, I graduated with a journalism degree. Math is not my strong suit. So I need more help in math, and that's okay. So what I would also recommend doing is go and look at the TEKS standards for EC through 6. That'll be really helpful for you because the TEKS standards is what you have to teach to those kids in that classroom. So if you look at TEKS and you see the standards talk about that you need to be able to do fractions, you need to be able to read a graph, you need to be able to know number, place, value, that kind of stuff. Then you can go back here and say, okay, I'm going to study on these areas. We have a really great resource too on our website, which is education.utsa.edu/Texas. And this is also going to be on the plan that I give you. All the links that I'm talking about are located on that plan. But you'll see here where it says Texas Preparation Resources. These resources are compiled by Mike Verzinga and Carissa. A lot of them are free. And a lot of them you have to pay for. But what's nice about that is he breaks it down for you. So for example, if you need help in math, if you scroll all the way down here, here is math preparation. Okay, here's a math lab. Here's extensive math resource videos. University of Houston has some stuff on 4th grade, mathematics. If you need help on science, it's going to have stuff in here. Now, luckily, the text pack does not have science on there, but when you get ready to prepare for your actual EC through 6 test, this is also another great resource to use to study for the state exam. Okay. Any questions on the test, on the text pact? No? Okay. Okay, here we go. Do you see that now? It says the plan EC through 6. Okay, good. So this is the plan that I give you. I fill out the front part, and then whatever you're lacking is what you need to be working on to get admitted to the program. And then I take your transcripts and I look for 12 hours of content area. Your content is going to be mathematics, science, social studies, English, arts, music, health, PE, anything like that, as long as it equals 12 hours. So for example, if you got a degree in Texas, more than likely you have what's called the core. In your core, you have 2 politics, you have 2 history, you have 1 math, you have 2 writing, you have an arts, and then you have what's called a component option area. So that can be anything like psychology or sociology or whatever. Those pretty much, you're gonna meet that component. You're gonna meet that 12 hours that's on here, okay? If you got a degree from another state, that's going to be a little more work because it depends on where you came from. If you came from a very liberal arts based university, you may not have enough math. But what I always look for is I try to find at least 1 math class that's college algebra or higher. I try to look for 1 history class. If possible, Texas is nice, but if not, it's okay. I look for at least 1 literature-based course. And then I look for like a geography or politics or economics. I'll also even look for like an art class or music, anything like that to fulfill those 12 hours, okay? And then pretty much you'll have, and I'm sure you have all seen this, this is your TESOL-C plan, your degree plan. And this shows you all the classes that you need to take for the degree. And you'll notice down here, there's that ESL 6946, okay? And so I also do the same thing. Every semester, once you're admitted, I go in and I check your grades and I plug those in. That way I know when it's time for you to clinical teach. And then I put you on a list and then I'll email you and tell you, hey, I noticed that it's looking like you're ready to clinical teach. Here's the information that you need to have for clinical teaching. And down here, let me see, let me go back up. This has all the information on the testing. So you'll see here, we've got the core subjects, your PPR, your ESL, and that 293, which is the Texas STR. Okay, and here that I'm showing you, my camera decided to quit on me. This is all the links that I was talking about that takes you to the text pact, that takes you to our website for all those resources that you're going to need. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint again. And then another common question that we get is, can I take other exams while I'm working on my TESOL-C program? No, you cannot. TEA requires us to give you permission for exams. And so we can only give you permission for the exams that you are completing with us. Once you are a certified teacher, then you can go and challenge any test you want. So for example, let's say you decide to do EC through 6 ESL with us, but you really want to eventually teach English language arts and reading in high school. you can do that. You'll get certified for your EC through 6 core subjects ESL. And then once you do that, you can go and challenge the ELAR test and you can add that to your certificate, okay? Same thing with special ed. Let's say you want to teach special ed. You can do that. Once you're certified for your EC through 6 ESL, you can then add special ed to your program. And that will let you teach a special ed classroom, an ESL special ed classroom, because their supplemental will attach to whatever you have. It's a symbiotic certificate. It's not a standalone. So whatever you're certified in, it'll automatically attach. So what a great one to have would be 4th through 8th grade core subjects and English at 7th through 12th grade, and your ESL will automatically attach to those areas. So then you can be an ESL teacher from EC through 12 if you wanted to go that route, okay? So that gives you some opportunities there. My husband is an example of that. He's a teacher. He went to Texas State and got certified for PE certification. And he got hired by a school district to teach history. So he went and challenged the history test, got certified. And then as his first year of teaching, his school district said, we really want you to have social studies. Can you go take that test? So he did. He went and challenged social studies. So now he's certified in PE, social studies, and in history. Then he took a break from teaching and then came back. And he decided he wanted to teach middle school. So then he went and took the 4th through 8th grade social studies. So now he's in high school certification in PE. He's got high school certification for social studies and history and middle school social studies. And he could teach any of those areas. And he only had to go to school for PE. And that was it. Okay. So that's a great thing that Texas does. Some states require you to go back to school and do a whole other certificate. They don't do that here in Texas. So that gives you an opportunity to become more marketable. Okay. So if you do have any questions, this is my information here. My email address is kimberly.perez1@utsa.edu. Right now, I don't have an office. We're working from home, but I don't have an official office anymore either because they kicked us out of the main building. So I will be moving to a new building probably in 2021. And so the easiest way to get hold of me right now is through email until we are located back on campus. And if you shoot me an email and you'd like to have a one-on-one Zoom session, we can totally do that. And we'll go over the program with you. It's a virtual appointment. I'll go over your plan specifically with you. We'll talk about what you have left lacking, what's the next steps for you, what we need to do next to move forward in the program, okay? So I do highly recommend that you do that. If I don't have a plan created for you, just let me know and I can go in there and create one for you so that you have your certification track. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
So do you recommend that we speak with our graduate advisor first before emailing you for the teaching certification side, or should we do both?
You can do both. I work with Eric and the faculty. So, you can talk with Eric and the faculty member that's assigned to you as your advisor, make sure that everything's looking good. And then you can just shoot me an email and say, hey, Kim, I'm ready to get my plan created. Can we set up a time to do that? And I can then send you a Zoom meeting, and then we can go over that together. And what I normally do is I'll create your plan first, and then I'll email it to you so that you have time to look at it. And then we'll have our session and we'll go over it together.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm scheduled for the PACT test on October 2nd. Can I send you this information, or do I have to wait until I get the score back?
You mean the application?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to wait until you have everything met on your application before you send it to me. We are audited by TEA, and so if you turn in your application to me and you didn't sign off on one little box, then I have to make you do it all over again, because everything needs to be signed and filled out. So yes, if you, have you done everything else? Did you do your quiz and the essay and all that good stuff?
Yeah, everything's done but the PACT test. I just didn't know if I had to wait until I got the score back.
Yeah, you have to wait until you get your score back. But as soon as you get your score back, then fill out your application, email that to me, and then I'll process it. Okay, and if that's the case, then in theory, once we get you admitted, let's say, obviously it's in October, so we'll get you admitted by December of this year. Then in the spring term, if you want to begin your 30 hours, you just let me know, and then I'll coordinate that with Dr. DeBook, who will reach out to you, and then you guys will work together to do your 30 hours in the spring term.
Which is really sad because I'm doing it right now.
Your 30 hours?
Yeah, I'm working with the ESL teacher right now.
Okay,
So
yeah, it won't count.
Part of that.
Yeah.
Also, Do you know how long it takes for the scores to come back on the PACT?
I believe it takes 7 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And the PACT test you can take, well, so far I have not seen anybody take the test and flunk it. Everybody's
Oh.
pretty successful, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I have not seen anybody take the test and have to take it for the second attempt. But if that does happen, there is unlimited amount of retakes on that test. You're just paying a congressman when you do that. So
Yeah,
just be careful.
$120 every time. So.
Yes. Mhm.
And if you fail math, you have to retake the whole test again.
No,
You
you
just
can
take the
just
math
take that
portion?
one area that you did not pass. Mhm. Yeah. They usually recommend, because that only has 3 domains in it. So let's say you take the test and for whatever reason you flunk 2 domains, but you pass 1, then go ahead and take the test all over again, but you're going to skip over the domain that you passed. And you'll just take the 2 areas that you did not pass, because when you do individual tests, you're paying for each test that you're taking. So it's more bang for your buck to register for the whole test again, as opposed to taking the individual domains.
Okay.
But let's say you pass 2 domains and you're only missing 1, then just pay for that 1 domain. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, yeah. So definitely, before you do those 30 hours of FBE or working with an ESL faculty and school district, you want to get admitted, because unfortunately by TEA law, I can't accept any of the hours. And that's just the flavor of the week. Who knows what the law is going to be in 2 days? You know, it changes all the time. So.
And also, kind of going with Sonia was saying, remember that your MA TESOL advisor will still help you with the MA TESOL things, but for anything certification related, you need to go to Kim. She will be the person that will have, keep track of everything, and whatever the faculty member tells you, can be whatever, it's Kim regarding certification, because she's the one up to date. Like
Yes.
Some of these things had already changed since last time that we did this orientation. I would have given you the wrong advice. So most likely if you go to your faculty advisor and you're a TESOL C, they're gonna say, okay, check with Kim. So in that way we do communicate, and the faculty is not gonna try to wing it and tell you, we'll just ask you to go to Kim. But she's really awesome. I mean, we have had students like say how happy they are that they have that advisor, especially for the certification.
Yes, yeah, and it's my job. I actually used to work for TEA before I came to UTSA, so I do have extensive knowledge. But it changes all the time, and my brain space is able to hold all that stuff for you guys. So definitely always reach out to me, even if you're like, I don't know if this is a silly question. It's okay, ask me, and that way we make sure we're on the same track, because it can be very confusing because the TEA operates the way they do, and especially with things that are going on right now. TEA couldn't answer half the questions that we had when it came to how do we do this, how do we do that with COVID. And so they actually had to have a special session just to talk about it because they didn't know what they were going to do. So, making sure that you check with me, it'll make it more successful for you so that you're not backpedaling and you get stuff done quickly. And
also don't be scared if you decide to go for the certification now and later on you change your mind. Like Kim said, no matter what, you're going to end up, if you complete your 30 hours, you're going to get out with a master's degree anyway. It's just a matter of getting that additional certification. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Kim, for your time. And I'm pretty sure some of these students are going to go and write emails to you or get in touch. And thank you guys for showing up. I'll see you hopefully, if not in our class, then next semester in one of our classes. Yes. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.